Hi everyone. In this interview post, we're continuing with "In God as mind we trust," and within this to just specify that God in the word, existent in the word itself, has many meanings or definitions. Connotations, relationships attached to it. And more specifically here, when we reference God, it is essentially, that, I'm going to call it that thing, that constitute a God, which is that something in which one believe that has more power, more authority, that is essentially the definition of what the human should have been in terms of our relationship and responsibility to ourselves, our physicals, each other, this physical existence. But what we have done is essentially abdicate all such responsibility to God or gods or deities or religions or spiritualities, money itself. And now we're going to have a look at how we have given that power and that responsibility of creator, creation, and created to our own minds, and transferred or abdicated our responsibility and our power to our minds and our consciousness. I mean, just like, and if we have a look at our relationship to money at the moment, money is God in the power and responsibility we have given money itself. This is another dimension within this relationship as well, in that we've given money that power, that responsibility in relation to, money giving us a life, money making our lives better, money making things happen in our lives. So essentially money itself, as we've explained, holding that power of life and death, when we ourselves as human beings, and especially the majority of us, have not seen, realized, and understood, the question of why do we not stand up for and start creating and establishing the meaning and the living of the life that we would want for ourselves, and so for everyone else. I mean, within this is an important point, and this is one of the primary dimensions within the equal money system, which is the following. If there's one thing that would unite the majority of humanity, is that we'd want a better life for ourselves. But the main thing that is not understood is that, we're all on this earth together. And so therefore, for oneself to have that better life, everyone should have that, because, if everyone has a better life, we have a better humanity, we have a better system, such as the equal money system, and, their lives are directed and certain. Even for the children that would come into this world, would have a certain life from birth to death, certain meaning they'll be taken care of and cared for. So, this is one of the main points, or one of the main problems with regards to life on earth as it is now. Everyone, or the majority of humanity, is still trying to get that better life for me. But for most part, the majority is kind of just eating off of the scraps that the world system or the money system as the elite is kind of, trickling down to the majority of us. So therefore, to essentially one have to expand one's relationship to understanding your already existent position in relation to money, this world system, this money system, and that is what has to change, the system for yourself and so for all. And now within this, having a look at our relationship to the mind, to consciousness, how have we given our mind, our consciousness, that authority, that power, and that responsibility that we have abdicated in a similar relationship to money and to God or God itself or religion or spirituality, in terms of having a look at the dimensions of determining life and death, and as well as power and authority and responsibility, and then also those relationships of just kind of hoping and trusting that things will work out, that things will be okay, that there's a reason for everything. So we have walked those dimensions in relation to money and God within the previous interviews, and now we're going to have a look at the mind. So let's have a look at the context of life and death in our relationship to the mind or consciousness. So, if you have a look at your life at the moment, and not now so much in terms of the physical reality perspective, but more in terms of how it is that you are within yourself experiencing your life. And this is also an interesting question, because many might, for example, now look for a moment and go, experience my life. It's not a question that we ponder as often, because for most part we are mostly thinking about everything and everyone else but ourselves. So for this interview, I would maybe suggest, having a look at this question till we get to the next interview post, in really having a look at how it is that you would describe your life experience. How do you experience your life? And, one can note it down for oneself. What are the thoughts that come up? What are the reactions? The imaginations? Are there any fantasies? Meaning, the experience of your life now is more, for example, projected into the future of a life that it is that you would rather want or prefer. And just note down all the mind dimensions: thought, imagination, backchat, reactions, memories, projections. And you'll notice a fascinating thing in relation to the list that one would make of how it is that you're experiencing your life within yourself. How much of that essentially come from within how you view your life. See, the question that I asked is very specific in relation to how is it that you are experiencing your life. Now, that word experience is very much in relation to how we react to our views, our perceptions, our interpretations, assumptions, thoughts, memories, and internal conversations. See, all of those things that one would note down in the list of how it is that you're experiencing your life is things that produce reactions within you. Some of them might be positive, others negative, others neutral. Whether positive, negative, or neutral, it is an energetic reaction, an energetic experience to what comes up in your mind. So my question then within this would be, right, if you are experiencing your life in terms of emotional and feeling reactions based on components or constructs or points that come up in your mind, then, does my life or your life really in fact exist? But, then again, we get into the definition of life. And many, for example, may determine life in relation to relationships, money, you're living in relation to your relationships and money and your social network and your job, your work. And, it's fascinating within this that you can even take it that one step further in terms of what is your definition of life? What is life, And within that, you will see how limited it really is. For many, it will, for example, be relationships, your religion or spirituality or belief, sex, money, traveling. And within that, you'll also notice that everything that you would define life to be, as in what constitute my life, also children, family, friends, all of it is for most part directly linked into this current world system and money system. What is promoted in this world system or money system, the consumerism system, essentially is family, friends, children, religion, spiritualities, beliefs, jobs, professions, and many would, for example, say, but yeah, that's what life is. That's, what it's always been. But now, from taking that definition of life, or what is my life, and have a look at your experience that you're currently having within it, positive, negative, and neutral. You've got to self-honestly look into everything, and then from there, take it out into the greater world system and money system. What's your relationship to that? And when I mean world system, money system, really having a look at its effect on life on earth for everything and everyone, all countries, nature, the earth, the animal kingdom, and have a look at what is your experiences in terms of how life on earth is going at this very moment. Again, you'll find there are experiences attached to it. So within this, we've got what physical life, what each individual's life is defined as, that exists in this real physical reality. And then we have within ourselves our experiences of this life. But now it's interesting, if you have a look at how, or let's rather have a look at it from this perspective. Would you say that you only changing your experiences in relation to life on earth? Would you say that anything would really physically, practically, in any way whatsoever change for you and for the rest of this physical existence? No, it wouldn't. See, this is where Desteni is taking that one step further, meaning if you have a look at, for most part, in terms of how change had been promoted in human consciousness, it had been, to change yourself. But that change had never gone that step farther in terms of actually changing your physical reality, your actual physical life, how your physical life is currently functioning and existing. In other words, meaning, you can just take this entire physical existence and you, for example, have humanity changed within themselves. And, just for a moment, imagine something so great, where all of humanity kind of decide to coexist. But what we then don't change is how this world system, this money system function. So, then change is going to be useless because we didn't bring it through into actual, real, physical reality. So, therefore, in this process, if we have a look at life and death in relation to God as mind, we have for so long in relationship to our minds just accepted and allowed our experience that we have in relation to what we've defined our life to be in physical reality. And so we've never changed or realized that, listen, we can change our experience in relation to our physical life experiences and, how our physical life is being lived. But within that as well, what has to happen, the within and the without has to change. So in humanity, we do kind of have at the moment a bit of a problem because we have become so interconnected, so dependent on this world system, this money system, that it's not anymore about, you changing yourself within and then your physical life experience without. It's almost impossible in a way to change your actual physical world, your actual physical reality, meaning the place that you live, your environment, your relationships, your job, profession. Everything is physically interconnected. So there is no more in that point of essentially, making this quantum change and then just leaving everything behind and walking away and kind of, sitting alone by yourself and, I'm enlightened and I'm self-realized and I'm free. Our responsibility and our dependency within this world and this reality has become really absolute. So therefore, our change cannot just only extend to our personal worlds. It now has to extend to the greater world system, the money system, if we want to make changes in our smaller worlds, our personal worlds. So, with Desteni, we're taking this process of change just that step further. In terms of, we've already throughout human civilization, there's been a lot of stepping stones about, your relationship to the mind, your relationship to self, how to change, how to become the directive principle or the master of yourself in your life. But the thing is that cannot be absolute if your physical life, your personal world is not directed, is not sorted out, and is not taken responsibility for. And you cannot do that unless you sort out, direct, and take responsibility for the greater world system, the money system. So we have to go to the big, essentially, to change the small. We have to change the world system, the money system, to really change our relationship, for example, to money, to profession or work or job or survival, in relation to, how we are currently physically living and surviving. So within this interview, in relation to life and death, within the context of, God as the mind, within the statement as God, in God as mind we trust, to have a look at that relationship to the word life, and especially in your mind, the experience to it, and how and what have you defined life to be in your physical world and reality. So I want you to do that for this interview, because in the next interview we're going to have a look at how we have more trusted our mind, our consciousness definitions of life and our experiences within it, and how that has caused us to not really realize, but listen, I can make a decision to change this life and the experience within it, within myself, and in the without of myself. The without is going to be a little bit more space and time that it'll take. But the main point that I want you to look at and consider within yourself is, everyone wants a better life. And to realize, that better life it's just going to be a bit more effort and discipline to actually materialize into physical reality, and it would be a gift that you would not only give to yourself but to everyone. Okay, so we'll continue with this in the next interview and continue taking on these dimensions in relation to God as mind, in the life and death relationship, and the power and the authority and responsibility we've given to our minds, and how our awareness, our individuality, our stand has essentially been separated in our within and our without. And I mean, this is why nothing is changing in this existence, because the extent of change and what it would really take to change has not been understood. Thank you very much.